This is the Eye for an Eye channel. Welcome to today's show. I've been covering these stories about cyber attacks. If you remember a couple days ago, I talked about how they're using these, desensitizing people, using these stories about how people aren't getting paid, right? Their automatic payments are going through. So say on a Friday, you're expecting your payment that you usually get from work or wherever, right? Yes, work. And then you go into your bank account, there's no money in there. And you're like, how am I going to pay my mortgage? These are all things done by design because this is what they're preparing you for. Because remember, we've all depended on and allowed and trusted in this system that they've set up where they're going to pull the rug out from under us. So when people go in and they're like, hey, I need to get groceries. It's Friday. Where's my money? Oops, there's a payment processing problem, right? They're getting you prepared to have nothing in your bank account, for your bank account to be at zero. And that's why we've always heard about the boogeyman who's going to be responsible for the cyber attacks. And if you actually Google cyber attacks right now, take the time, DuckDuckGo, whatever you use. Look up all the stories out there. And put in news on Google. If you do Google on news, like you can see today's stories, tons of stories. Every country, cyber attack, cyber attack, cyber attack. And I'm going to cover one specific one here in America because that has to do with your home and where you live and how convenient this is that mortgages aren't being processed. Because, if your mortgage doesn't get paid, you could be evicted. So how convenient that everybody who, we always think we're like, oh, well, you make sure you pay your mortgage, they're not going to be able to throw you out of your home. Oh, yeah? Well, when your automatic payment doesn't work and you don't even realize it's not going through, and then they show up at your door and they say you're evicted for not paying your mortgage, and you say, wait a minute, what? What about my bank account? I pay it every month. Oh, well, we never got the payments. Oh, so now you're evicted. So now you don't have a home. So we have another way we could throw you out of your house. And nobody's going to hear about it because we won't put it on the news, and suddenly you'll be in a FEMA camp or wherever we decide to roll you. So I'll cover this story in a second. I want to let everybody know who is on the website. I have a new video up over there about this lawsuit. There's a pending lawsuit against these companies that were trying to get everyone to poison themselves. I'm not sure if you heard about it the last couple of years. They've been trying to get everyone to take poison, right? And telling you that the poison will help you, and then telling you that the poison doesn't make you immune. It's really poison, blah, blah, blah. And idiots go and get the poison, and they give you a gift card to go poison yourself, and they give you Taco Bell if you go poison yourself. Even some cases in America, they're giving you lap dances if you went and poisoned yourself. And of course, the idiots went and poisoned themselves, right? Well, there's stories out there about how in another country, they're suing them for doing this to people. And it's a joke. And I just want to cover that because I see a lot of truth there. A lot of people are picking up on the story. They're like, this is great. They're going to get euros from this big company because of what happened to their family member because they took it and then this happened to them. And this video is important because it's the mindset people need to have. I talk about it over on the website, uprisingrevival.com, so join today if you haven't. But pretty much in a nutshell, the mindset is if you are a victim, and I use these serial killers because, well, this is what everybody can relate to, even though a lot of, they know the stories behind it because they push it down our throats, even though these are Manchurian candidates in a lot of cases and connections to the CIA. But let's use Dahmer, right? Everyone knows the story. Well, if Dahmer did that to your dad, your brother, your sister, your friend, would you like to sue Jeffrey Dahmer for the money in Jeffrey Dahmer's bank account? Is that a win for you? Or would you like to make sure Jeffrey Dahmer gets gassed, right? So we have people who are committing this on a mass scale, who are killing billions of people on a mass scale. That's the goal, right? And we're talking about suing them for money. When in reality, what should be occurring is we get past the court systems because it's all controlled. Those are in the books of those people who currently are at war. Their books say that Gentiles can't sue them and will never, ever win. And that's exactly what we all are to them. We're cattle. So we just say, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're just going to make mass arrests because these people are trying to kill all of us. So wouldn't the natural thing to do and the nice thing to do would be to arrest them? Because we could say that's being kind. We should really be doing something else because they're trying to kill everybody. So, eye for an eye in a sense, right? No pun intended. But, of course, we live in a weakened society. Everybody's become weaker. We allow these things to occur. Then we're like, oh, we're going to sue them for money. And it's like, what? So if you walk down your driveway, it's the analogy I use on the website. You walk down your driveway or you walk down the road you're on and somebody's selling lemonade at the end of the driveway, right? And people are buying the lemonade for 10 cents. They drink the lemonade. And 10 of the people go home and they croak. Okay, are you going to sue the guy for selling the lemonade? Be like, my mom died, she drank this lemonade. Let's sue and get the money the guy made from the lemonade. Or are you going to want the guy gassed? Are you going to say, not suing you. This guy should be hung on a tree. He just murdered 10 people. Right, of course, that would be the mindset. People would be like, what do you want to sue him for? Like OJ, right? Well, you're going to sue him for money? No, you want justice. The person's just committed mass murder. The person deserves, justice for that. People, they can't have this guy run in the streets. still, but you just sue him for money? The guy needs to be thrown in jail. That's the mindset we should have with these people, okay? Because they're committing mass murder. And then they go, whoa, people are going to sue for money. Oh, they're going to sue for money when they're murdering people, and they're still rolling it out, murdering people, okay? So we need to have this mindset. This is nonsense the way we live, where adults are like, I'm going to Disney, and I'm playing with this stuff. We need men now, okay? If there's ever going to be a revolution, it'll be now. They're trying to kill us, okay? So that video is available on the website where you can talk about these things, uprisingrevival.com. And if you haven't joined, I recommend you do. If you are over there, make sure you watch the video. But go over and click free videos over on the website. Okay, and submit your email. You'll get email notifications anytime I upload anywhere. So that means if my channel's gone, you're like, what happened to that guy? Well, you'll get an email, so you'll know where I'm uploading. That's the point of me having that, the free video tab. You get my free videos. You get my videos. Even if I go to another platform, you'll know where to find me. We'll stay connected. So go do that if you haven't yet. So back to this story. I'm going to play a news clip. Of course, the news clip starts by talking about that thing I was mentioning with all of the banks not processing people's payments. Of course, you can look at the person in the beginning of the clip I'm about to play, and you can see that the person, well, you'll know what the person prefers in the bedroom, which doesn't tell you that these people were created in labs or products of Tavistock Institute and everything else that the CIA has created, where you can literally see how someone dresses, talks, the way they comb their hair, and know what their preference is in a bedroom, and nobody's suspicious yet at how all this stuff is done. They're just like, they just decided to dress that way, and that's their preference in the bedroom. I know that. Why? Oh, do you watch them in the bedroom? No, I don't know anything about their personal life. Well, how do you know what they like to do in the bedroom? Oh, well, I could tell by the way they dress and talk, right? So you'll see this character at the beginning talking about it. But listen to how funny this is when they talk about the banks, right? And then they just kind of transition like, oh, and on top of all those cyber attacks, people's mortgages aren't being paid because there's another cyber attack. Yeah, and another and another and another. And this is done by design because we're going to be reset to zero. Take a look.
Friday evening, it is the first Friday of the month. And while many people were counting on that direct deposit to come this morning, you might have found your money wasn't there. Huntington Bank, U.S. Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, all having issues this morning. And that's because they all use the same clearinghouse network for processing your transaction. And that network experienced an error that's since been resolved. That came on top of another issue millions of homeowners had this morning trying to pay their mortgage at the beginning of the month. The lending service company Mr. Cooper is the latest to fall victim to the ubiquitous cybersecurity hack. Kent's here to talk about it. Hey, Kent.
Hey, Jana. Yeah, the concern about this apparent hack is still just beginning to hit some mortgage customers. Because even though more than 4 million people are impacted, experts say some might not even realize they are a Mr. Cooper customer, especially if their mortgage payment comes out automatically every month. Even if you have a home mortgage that originated with another company, there is a chance it's now under Mr. Cooper's roof.
In most cases, that loan is going to be bought or sold to a servicer, i.e. Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper is the largest servicer of mortgage loans across the country, actually.
So this is a big deal.
It is. It's a very big deal.
Zach Quakenot says he hasn't heard that any of his customers at Guaranteed Rate Affinity are among the 4 million impacted by Mr. Cooper's cybersecurity issue. But he says it is possible because you probably wouldn't know unless you've tried to log on to pay.
Not a whole lot of communication has gone on about it just yet.
In a statement, the company says the incident happened on Halloween and that it locked down its systems and locked customers out to keep their data safe, adding, rest assured, you will not incur any fees, penalties, or negative credit reporting related to late payments as we work to fix the issue. If you schedule your payment automatically, the company says it will be processed as soon as our systems are operational and you will receive a notification. But that might come as news to some customers because that link to information is blocked by some internet browsers that deem the connection itself unsecure.
There is the chance, of course, that your information might have been compromised.
It also makes me wonder about how much people should trust any communication coming into their inbox right now.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I would say the best thing to do would be just to pick up the phone and call. I'm sure their phones are probably flooded, but it'd be in your best interest to stay on hold and make sure that you speak to somebody to get some actual information.
I can tell you if consumers do have concerns or they don't know what to do, they can certainly call the Department of Commerce.
Assistant Commissioner of Enforcement Jacqueline Olson says even though Mr. Cooper's investigation is just beginning and their customers have been locked out, they can still be proactive.
They could contact the credit bureaus, that's, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, and place a one-call fraud alert on their credit report. And they'd only have to contact one of them to make that happen.
Now, on that cybersecurity information page, Mr. Cooper does go on to say that customers can communicate using their secure text messaging platform. And if the company finds that customer data was exposed, it will offer identity protection services. If you're having trouble accessing that information, we're posting the latest update along with some Q&A, frequently asked questions, along with this story on care11.com.
So this ridiculous story, I love too, Heather, like Mr. Cooper, right, might as well be Mr. George Glass, says customer data was exposed in a cyber attack, and you wouldn't even know because, you get a mortgage. I love that too. Like if you get a mortgage, supposedly like in this process of mortgages, they just sell it to other people. So you're like, oh, I'm getting a mortgage from John Doe. And I'm going to make my payments to John Doe. And then you just realize, wait a minute, you're not making a payment to John Doe. Mr. Cooper bought your mortgage. And then Mr. Cooper's decided that, oops, he's got a cyber attack. So Mr. Cooper, who you're paying your mortgage to, bought your loan. And then his processing thing got hacked. So you're screwed because now you could be evicted from your home thanks to Mr. Cooper, a.k.a. George Glass. I mean, it's hilarious that they talk about this stuff and we're just like, oh, okay. Instead of going, what? No. Even the whole concept of the mortgage. How about no? How about people could go where they want to go, okay? They could find land. Everybody can have X amount of land. You can say, hey, every person gets 2 acres, okay, or 5 acres, right? Somebody can't have 100 and someone can't have 0.5. You can make it fair. And then you could go there. You could build a home on it. You don't need a guy to come in and say, well, your roof's a little too small or your window's not up to par. And our stand. How have we gotten to this point where we let them have this type of control over our lives, right? As civilians, just say, okay, look, you want to live there, you want to live there. And then, to protect your land, protect your home, you arm up, make sure no psychopaths come in your land. And if they do, and you warn them and they don't listen and they try to get your wife or your kid, well, you can take care of them, right? This is the way the world should be working. They try to make it like the way it used to be, like, oh, that's old caveman stuff. That's psychotic, right? Then we see how the world's going. And we see how they're like, oh, these guys are arresting this guy because of his skin color. And the liberals are letting all the people out of jail who are robbing people and they don't have to face any accountability. And they're telling all the kids out there they can be criminals and not have to face any consequences. It's just utter insanity. At what point do civilians not just go, you know what? I've had enough. I'm not really interested in this great reset. Not really interested in any of this division with my neighbor because their skin color is this or their political affiliation's that. I've had enough. I want to be left alone. So maybe it's time that I arm up and I take care of this stuff because revolutions have occurred in the past over less important things than this. Okay, we see that there's actual psychopaths who are trying to poison all of us in so many different ways. We're not just talking about the outbreak. We're talking about what? We're talking about on a mass scale here. They're dumping metals on us from the sky. They're putting it in our food and they're putting it in our water. Okay, graphene, you name it. All these things that are causing, then we're like, hey, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're going for a jog down in Main Street. Oh, great. Is that going to help solve it? No. Yes, it is. I'm a great person. I'm going to go jog and I'll wear a pink shirt. Oh, is it going to solve breast cancer? No, but the money should help. Oh, should it? They already know how it's caused because they're the ones who cause it. Okay? It's called putting metals and aluminum in our food and our water and our air. Okay? That's why it exists. Okay? They're poisoning you. Right? They're immune to it because they take actual real precautions, like real, magic potions to make sure that they're immune and they don't have to deal with this stuff. But we do. We do. Pretty incredible, right? So back to the story here, because what's going to occur, these types of cyber attack stories are going to continue. They desensitize you to it. And then when they decide to pull the rug out, everybody just goes, oh man, yeah, they've been telling us about cyber attacks. They've been telling us about, and we just need to take things back into our own hands, really. We could say, all right, you want to play these games? Then nobody's paying anything back to a bank. We're going to disband the banks. We're going to disband the loan company, all this stuff. That's enough. It's enough because what you're doing now is you're telling us, people who have money in their bank account, who have their mortgage on auto pay, now you're telling us that, their payments aren't going through. So what? You're going to have them charge fees and fines. And, they're supposed to accept that, just like they're supposed to accept the fact that eggs are $50 for a dozen eggs these days. We're supposed to just accept all this stuff. Meanwhile, nobody can grow anything anymore. No one's suspicious about why farmers aren't able to grow crops because of the poisons from the sky. Enough's enough. I mean, really, at what point did the civilians go, yeah, you know what? We outnumber them by 1,000 to 1. All right? It's enough here. It's enough, right? And you go, well, they got the military and all this stuff. Well, civilians could still arm themselves in this country. And then you could say, hey, there's probably some good people in the military who could join the civilians against these globalists. And you could say, hey, you know what else? I'd lay my life down for this because I don't want to see future generations who are just led straight to hell because they're told they could chop off their wiener at 5 years old and they should, and all this other crazy crap, and they're putting poison in their bodies. I mean, at what point do you go, like other generations, people are like, I'll lay my life down. I'll lay my life down. It's worth dying for because we don't want people to live in a life. But we have weak men by design where they're like, I don't want to die. I don't want this to happen. We have people who actually want to be immortal, right? I cover this all the time, right? These stories about seeking immortality, living forever, expanding life. People are like, what's wrong with that? It's like, everybody who's here is miserable. Everyone who's here is like, this sucks, right? Is anyone meeting anyone who's like, everything is great? Everyone's like, oh man, yeah, what a nightmare we're in right now. And they want to live forever on top of it, right? I mean, it's really incredible. So Mr. Cooper is saying that customer data is hacked and exposed, which means more stuff like your bank account. This is all about getting it to zero. This is about resetting, right? If their goal is to reset, well, when you press the reset button on Nintendo, what happens? You're in the middle of playing Super Bowl Tecmo Bowl, right? You're about to win the Super Bowl, and your brother walks up and presses reset. Not that that's happened to me before, but hey, there's an example. What happens? It goes back to starting over, right? Well, that's what they want to do. So pretty much there can't be a reset unless your bank account goes to zero. The things you owned, you no longer own. That's communism, kids, okay? Do you like owning stuff? Some people are out there like, well, I don't own anything. I had nothing in my bank account anyway. Okay. Well, that's on you, okay, in a sense, all right? So I don't care if you have $40 or $40,000 in the bank. Do you want the government to have full control over this? Okay, that's the point. You look at somebody else, say what they have, and you're jealous. Well, just be a man about it. Be like, well, they got that. How about the fact that it's going to be all of us with nothing and them with everything? And then we have to beg them for food rations because we've allowed them to poison all our soil, etc., and we can't grow and do this stuff, right? Well, they only get to that point by doing things like this. So they get you prepared and they say, oh, it's normal for Mr. Cooper, who you've never met, the boogeyman, Mr. Cooper, he owns your mortgage now. Did you sign up for this? No, you didn't. When you signed a contract, I guess, oops, void, because the company you bought it from, John Doe, decided to sell it to Mr. Cooper, and you don't know who Mr. Cooper is, and now Mr. Cooper's got all your data out there, and Mr. Cooper's, having problems with his processing center, so your mortgage isn't going through, and everyone's just like, oh crap, yeah, oh crap, right? Because we've trusted in this system, we trusted in the internet, we trusted in tech, and this is all about what? Getting you to a digital ID, a digital currency, all these things are part of the reset, where they have full control of what you buy, what you sell, etc. Cash is void. So all these things tie into it when you hear stories like this, right? Because there's going to be a mass cyber attack, okay? There's going to be. But it's not going to be what you hear. That's what I have to emphasize. Because people are like, oh, yeah, you said there's... It's not a real mass cyber attack. It's all these corporations working together and these banks working together because all the same people over in Bagelville control and run this stuff. And they're going to reset you to nothing. Nothing. And then it's going to happen to everybody. And they expect you to first yell and scream. They expect you to grab a sign and go protest like they did in France. And then eventually what happens? You do it day after day after day. Nothing happens. They're all underground. Your protest goes to naught. You throw some things through some windows, which is what they want anyway, because they want to demolish everything and build smart cities. And the next thing you know, you just give in. And you're like, okay, well, now what? What do we do now? Because we've allowed them this power. We've enabled them. And we've done nothing to stop it, so they continue going forward. That's the problem. And that's the point I make in the website Uprising Revival in the last video I did. We allow them to, right? Because we're told, oh, that would be bad. You can't do that to other people. Oh, but they could mass murder us. They could do that to us, but we can't arrest them, which would be us being kind to them, right? Arresting them would be kind. Oh, they can't do that. Who are you to do that? Oh, well, who are they to kill everybody and poison everybody and psychologically trick people into poisoning themselves? On top of everything else, oh, the cyber attack. Oh, who is it? Oh, it's Putin. Oh, is it? It's your own government. They want to ruin your way of life. They want utter control over your every movement. They've already proven this with the outbreak. It's only going to be worse with the climate agenda. That's the whole point. And these idiots just believe it. I mean, it's amazing. You watch the effects of these psychological operations. You have idiots out there who literally go sit in the road. They're like, we got to stop big oil. I mean, that's how warped they are, that they believe this stuff. They devote their lives to lies. And then like, no, you're the one devoting their life to lies. And you believe in the Bible. And you're just like, well, why don't you believe in the Bible? Oh, because we learned in school about Darwin and evolution. Oh, you don't think that was made up? They're like, well, where's the proof of the Bible? Well, the proof of the Bible is actually everywhere. These locations, right? A lot of it hidden. Saudi Arabia, right? Some of the findings, some people don't believe they're the real findings, but finding of Noah's Ark, etc. All this stuff is there. It's all hidden from you. If they told you that the Disney World didn't exist, but you can go to Noah's Ark, the real one, people would all go and everybody would believe the story of Noah. There wouldn't be a question of evolution. Why do you think they hide all of it from you? And they say, go to Disney World. Instead, go on your trips here instead of going, hey, you know what? The only place anyone needs to go, you go see the Ark. You can go see, Sodom and Gomorrah and the evidence of how God feels about these people. And right, people go, oh, wow, crazy. Yeah, this is 100% real. Because it is 100% real. They don't want you to think it's 100% real. So these people sit around and they're like, I'm protesting in the name of the climate. I'm doing this. They have no idea that they're... They couldn't, not only is it the most useless thing, like I said about picket signs and all this stuff, they expect people to protest and do some stuff, when they have your bank account at zero. They just know after a month or so, what are you going to do about it? And they're going to be underground. And you're just going to then conform the way they want you to. They're going to come out and go, well, we have you're going to need food and water. We'll come in and help. Here it is. And people go, all right, fine. They're giving us food. I need food and water to live, so I got to go and get the rations that they're giving us. And then suddenly your whole way of life is changed and nuked. Because of these people. Any progress we've ever made as humanity has been stopped because that's what they want to do, is stop progress and take control. So the point being about these people who protest and do this stuff for the climate, et cetera, how stupid they are. It's incredible. It's incredible. And that's part of the operation that's working here because the masses are all divided. The masses are believing in lie after lie after lie, which is why when I was talking about in a previous video about Crowder, et cetera, how the alt-right keeps you stuck in these things. And they go, oh, there's fake news, CNN. And then they believe these stories are actually real. They're herding mechanisms. All of it is there to herd you. All of it. So now we look here and we see these stories about banks not paying people, right? Oopsies. Mortgages not being paid. This is another excuse for them to throw you out of your home. Because when your mortgage isn't processed, okay, and you don't even know that it's not processed, what's the next thing they could do? They could evict you. They plan on evicting everybody. If they don't destroy your home with a direct energy weapon or HARP or one of those types of things, they're going to price you out of the market. That's the next move, right? And people who rent in apartments, they're going to say, hey, you have to have a potion to stay here. We already saw that, right? There's going to be all these rules and restrictions, and people are going to be forced out, or they're going to say, look, you can't afford it anymore. How are you going to afford eggs? You can't afford eggs? Okay, well, next thing you know, you're not going to be able to afford rent. You're not going to be able to afford electricity. They're making everything, they're pricing you out of the market. And then for people who have money saved up, they're going to crash the stock market so you don't have any savings. And everyone who's smart enough to not be in that, they're going to say, hey, oops, your payments aren't going through. Oh, and you were targeted by a cyber attack. So now even though you had $400,000 in the bank, now you have zero. And you can't pay your mortgage. We're coming to take your home. Okay? These are all things that they've thought out. They sit there like the game of Risk. And they say, these are all the things we know they have, we have to take. How are we going to get them out of their homes? How are we going to get people out of their homes who aren't? If we're going to crash the market, what about people who aren't in the market? Okay, what about people who are crypto, et cetera, et cetera? What about people who just have their money on their mattress? Well, these are the things that we have to do. This is how we have to target them. Cyber attacks is at the top of the list because they expect you to believe that a boogeyman did it. And here they'll blame it on Putin. Over there, they'll blame it on somebody else. And it'll happen around the world. And people won't have any money anymore because we trust and they'll be like, well, it's not just you, it's your neighbor too. So don't be upset about it. Now you all have to just kind of deal with it. But the next thing you need to focus on is food and water because you don't have any. So you don't have time to worry about where your money went. And the government's here. We have food and water available at the end of the road. It's plant-based. It's filled with estrogen to keep you weak so that you don't rebel against this. And everybody will eat it and they'll continue to be weak. They'll continue to get sick. And nobody will realize that we should have stood up and fought against it while we had the time to do it. Right? And then on top of that, like I've been mentioning, they're trying to get a certain weapon out of your home because they know that those types of weapons will help civilians battle against this. And if the civilians outnumber the military, which they do, people will die, but eventually they'll win, the civilians. And then the civilians can start finding these underground bunkers. There won't be people there to protect them anymore. And the civilians will be able to get in there and go after these people. And it's justified. If anything's ever been justified, it would be that. Because these people are killing all of us. They're not just killing people who are willingly poisoning themselves. They're poisoning all of us every day from the sky. There's nothing we can do about it. All right? And then they keep us divided going, oh, Trump and Biden and all this stuff. And no, civilians. Look at all the civilians getting killed overseas. They say, oh, yeah, civilians, there's casualties of war. That's not how war works, right? And what happened? Oh, none of the civilians are armed to protect themselves. How convenient, right? Just what they keep trying to do here in America. Liberals, who are the real problem in this country, are Democrats. They are. The liberal mindset is the problem. They're the poison. But they're going to be steamrolled by these people. And they're going to expect people like us, they're going to want our food and want us to protect them. And they're the ones responsible. So they're not going to get any help or protection from any of us. And, people are like, well, that's not a Christian thing to say or do. Oh, no? Well, these are the same people, once you've given them something, they want more. Have you noticed these people? Everyone said, let them get married. Now what do they want to do? Well, they want to marry your kid. They want to come into your house and teach your kid that he should cut off his penis. Okay? They're psychopaths. So you could continue to allow that to happen. I'm not interested in ending up on a true crime by letting these people into my home and then being like, oops, I was stupid. I tried to be Christian-like and nice and let them into my home. And when I woke up, they killed my wife and my kids. Oh, great. It's your fault then because you allowed it instead of being smart. There's a difference, right? God says be as wise as serpent, right? Be as wise as serpents and as innocent as doves, which means be smart. Don't make stupid decisions. Don't be like, I'm going to be real kind because these people need food and more. Oh, these are the same people who told you that you shouldn't be allowed to talk. They wanted to censor your speech. They wanted to cancel you. Then they said you were a conspiracy nut. Now they want your food and water, which they said was crazy that anybody would think to store those things up. Now they think they deserve it and they should get it from you when you've been trying to save humanity, fight for humanity against these psychopaths who are in control. All right, no, because you've enabled them and you've allowed them and given them more protection and you put us in this situation. Okay, so I'm on a rant off topic. So back to the mortgage stuff. The cyber attacks and the boogeyman, right? This is the next phase that will come. There will be more of these stories. The longer we hear of these stories and not on a mass scale where it's like, oh, did you know McDonald's? Remember all these stories I've covered here? McDonald's was hacked and everybody who ever bought something from McDonald's with a credit card, they have your info, blah, 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 blah. It's all to desensitize you and prepare you for when a bigger event occurs. And now they're talking about mortgages, they're talking about your bank account. That's to prepare you for your bank account to wake up to be at zero. And then when you find out your neighbor's at zero and your other neighbor's at zero, then you're going to go, oh, well, like everyone's at zero. So it's not just me. So, okay, I'm hungry now. Oh, you're hungry now? Do you have a year's worth of food? No, I have a day's worth. Oh, okay. Well, up at the end of the road, the government's sitting there at a table with soy food. So it's going to make you weaker, more emotional, less of a man. But they'll give it to you. And of course, you have to take this mark, right? Oh, okay. Well, I need food to survive. Yeah. Don't let yourself be in that situation. Don't fall for their stories. This is your own government doing these cyber attacks. All the governments of the world working together against the civilians. Very easy to see, but people don't want to see it. They go, well, what's the solution, man? You do is talk about it. Well, I know what I'm planning on doing, okay? I'm not dumb enough to sit here and tell you what to do because I don't need to get thrown in jail. I'm planning on coming out on the other side of the next wave of what they do. That's what I'm planning. I'll talk about it more on the website, but not here on YouTube. But I'm planning on coming out on the other side, okay? I'm not interested in just, letting them come and put a ramrod up my rectum, okay? I'm not interested in that. It doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't appeal to me to let Big Brother in my home and for me to drop my drawers and say, go ahead. Hey, you got a battering ram? Go right in. Here, let me spread my cheeks for you. No thanks. No thanks. Hard not to hate these people at this point. Okay? I hate the devil. That's a fact. People are like, you're not allowed to hate. You're not so. Okay, well, I hate the devil. And these people aren't human, what they're doing to us. They're not human. And in any other point in human history, civilians would never have allowed this to happen. We're weak. We're dumbed down. A lot of it's from the poison, but the majority of it is psychological. They've weakened us all. We know all these people, and we could all sit here and I'm not going to make fun of people and be like, oh, these adults are going to Disney and behaving like kids. I get it that people need an escape because this is hell. But at some point we need to go, you know what? This isn't making me feel better. It's just temporarily blocking me going and doing these things I used to do as a kid. And if I want things to be better and I want the world to go back to the way it was and I don't want to have to go to Disney World to feel happy, well, maybe I should stand up and lay my life down for future generations against these psychopaths, these Dahmers of the world who are now in charge of the world, who are telling us to put poison in our bodies on a mass scale on top of many other things, right? It needs to stop. And the civilians need to rise up and stop it from happening. That's what we have bills and laws for. Tyranny, right? Stopping treason from occurring in our government. It's already occurred. And it's the left and the right in government now. They're playing you on a fiddle, playing your emotions, making you think that the better days are ahead, that if you vote for so-and-so, it'll stop it from happening. Throw them all out and start over. And how about we count every single vote that's handwritten so we can actually trust the process and we film it and we air it on TV? things that could be done very easily. And they go, that's stupid. That'll take too long. Oh, yeah? Who trusts these people and who trusts this process? Does anyone? Because I can tell you for a fact they don't. Doesn't matter if you're conservative or liberal. Liberals didn't believe Trump really won, right? And then when Biden won, conservatives didn't believe it. So clearly everybody believes it's all rigged. So why do we still allow the system to be in place with electronic votes, mail-in vote? Every vote accounted for, and you have to show your citizenship to make a vote. How about that? Old school. Get a post-it, a pile of them. You go there, you write it. We watch it. We have somebody standing there to make sure you put it in a box. This guy and this guy. You put it in the box. And the people you're voting for, they don't have to be worth millions of dollars, because that's apparently a prerequisite. Oh, it's got to be a millionaire. It can't be the plumber up the road. Right, you mean we're voting for people who are rich, who have no morals, who are sick, perverse. Why do they get to be the people in power? Huh? Why can't it just be a regular guy who has leadership skills, who doesn't want all this money and this stuff? He just wants normal life. He wants government to stop infringing on our rights. Yeah, that sounds right. These are things that should be occurring. They're like, that's going backwards with technology. That's like caveman stuff, is it? Look at the nightmare around us. Needs to stop. Anyway, folks, get ready for a big cyber attack. And again, the video is on Uprising Revival, where I talk more about this. So I'm going to talk more in detail on the website, just about things we could do, how we could, because that's really what this is about, preparing for the next phase of this, because everybody's enabling it and allowing it to happen by doing nothing, right? And you could say I'm guilty of that too. Well, I'm prepared. Okay, what else am I supposed to do? You want me to, my whole audience has been cut off. So if I was ever going to do something and be like, hey, we're all going to get together, we're all going to rise up, we're not dealing with this stuff. Well, the first thing they'll do is create a false flag and arrest me. And they'll say, hey, this guy's trying to create a new Waco, and this guy's armed, and blah, 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 and they'll throw me in jail. I'm not dumb. I'm not playing into that. I want to come out on the other side. They don't want people to come out on the other side, because they expect anyone who comes out on the other side to be subservient to them and say, oh, I need them for food and water. Oh, I'm beaten down and worn down from all this stuff. I'll do what they say. I just want to go back to normalcy. Well, there is no normalcy anymore. You have to be mentally tough and mentally prepared for what's coming. And as bad as it all sounds, it's going to be better than it is now. I'll tell you that much, because people are going to snap out of it. I mean, you might be like, well, I don't have this anymore. I don't have it anymore. All this stuff that we have, we don't need. This is all baby stuff they give us. Oh, you have this, you have that. You have your phone. You'll realize real fast you don't need this stuff, and life is better, and your mental health is better without all of it, right? Then we can go to these big towers they have up, these 5, and you can start by just dismantling that type of stuff once they pull the crap that they're planning on pulling, okay? There's a lot of things that we can do and we need to do. We need to start preparing. And we need to have blueprints, too, of where they're going. All the underground tunnels, cities, military bases, underground. Know where they are. Have it mapped out. Handwritten, not on your devices. Get everything off your devices and get everything handwritten. They want you to have it all online because they could spy on you and watch what you're doing. They want it online because they know when they pull the plug, you won't have access to it anymore. They're going to have full control of it. Websites are going to be shut down. These types of things. So we need to act soon. Now, really. But mentally, we need to prepare. You need to have things in place, because we're not all near one another, obviously. But I'd like to see everybody who listens and has listened over the years come out on the other side. I know a lot of you are like, I don't want to come out on the other side of this. Well, I don't blame you. But when crap hits the fan, you're not going to want to bend over and give and just let them do what they want with you and your flesh and whatever else. Okay? When you're starving to death, you're going to be like, this sucks. And it's going to last a while. And you're going to be like, I wish I was prepared. And I wish I had mentally prepared. So, yes, you mentally prepare. You prepare with the Bible. The Bible's a blueprint. It tells us all this stuff. You need to be armored as far as spiritually armored, but you also need to be mentally prepared, wise as serpents and as innocent as doves. I thank everybody for being here. Sorry I went off topic. I wanted to rant. Videos available on the website, Uprising Revival. Hope to see more people over there. Thank you guys again. God bless all of you, as always, and your families.